Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about some concepts related to return statements. So far we have discussed what are functions, why we create them, and for every function, if you want that function to return something after doing any particular job. For example, if there is a function to calculate sum of two numbers and after that calculation is done, we want that function to return something, we can do that. And for that we use return statements. Okay, so here for example I have created one function called test1 and I have written one print statement, one return statement and another print statement. And when I'm calling this function here, I'm calling this function here. So this function is returning some things and I'm storing that value in this variable called returned value, and then I can do anything with this value. I am here simply printing it. So if I run this function will return a value of 3 which is getting printed here. Okay, so here I'm not writing any code for, let's say, sum of two numbers, but you can use any logic. If it's a sum of two numbers, you can return total, you can whatever. For example, here if I say total is 3 and I am returning total, so when I run this will be still 3. If I make it 7, so this value you can do it by calculation, whatever is your logic of the program, but after you can return that variable and then you can store it here, or you can directly print it. If I take it here and print it directly here, it will still work. But just to show you that function return a value and I am storing that value here. Okay, so now a function may or may not return anything. Okay, so when a function is not returning anything, we say it's returning none. So there is one special type of object, we call it none. So if I remove this statement, so now this function is not returning anything. This function has just two print statements. So this will return nothing. So when I am calling this function, whatever this function is returning, which is none, will get stored here and I will get that value get printed here. So if I run this, okay, it says none. Now both statements are running and none is getting printed. So you have to remember this, that when function is not returning anything, it means it's returning none. Okay, let's go back to returning. Now when I am running this, it's only printing statement before it. This print is not getting printed. The reason for this is whenever any function encounters return, what you do after that doesn't work. So when I call this function, it will run from here, it will go up to here. The moment this function experiences return statement, after that program terminates right there. So what you write after a return statement is meaningless. So that's why this statement is not getting printed, whereas this gets printed because this is before the return. Okay, so the reason is the moment function experiencing this encounters this return statement, program and function ends there right there. Now Python allows you to have multiple return statements like this. This is function test4. I am printing one statement, then one return, second return, in between I am putting lines. So if I call this function just to see what it will return, if I run this will return 5. So program function will start when this function is called here, it will print this, return this, and what you do after that becomes irrelevant. So these 3 lines never gets executed. So Python allows you to have multiple return statements, but the moment function experiences in the first return statement, it stops working there. After that, whatever you write is meaningless. So you can write, but it will not work. Okay, so that is the use of multiple return statements. means you can put, you will not get any error, but the moment first return statement is executed, after that function ends right there. Okay. Now you can you can return more than one value. Like if you write like this, return 3 and 4, it can return both the values. Okay, now it's returning two values, so I have to use two variables to store it. So I'm calling this function test2. It's returning two values. First value will be stored in return value 1. Second value will be stored. So here I need two variables because two values are returned. So returned value will have a value of 3. Returned value 2 will have a value of 4. So if I run this, the reason for showing this is Python allows you to return multiple values in a return statement. So this return statement is returning two values 3 and 4, whereas here a single value is returned. Similarly, you can also return any data structure like list, dictionary. If you want that to return, you can do that. So here I have a list which have two elements 1 and 2, and I am returning this list. When I am calling this function test3, it gets stored here, and I can print it if I want. If I'm printing it, now this statement again not working because anything you write after return, first return gets never gets executed. So this return statement never gets executed. So few basic rules about return statement is inside function you can use return statements. Return statements can be used to return a value, more than one values, or a data structure like list, dictionary, like this. Python allows to have multiple return statements, but the moment first return statement gets executed, program terminates there. Okay. So these are the few concepts related to return statements that you need to keep in mind while you are writing return statement for any function. Okay, so I will stop here for this video. Thank you for watching.